Welcome, I'm Jon Caldara, president of the Independence Institute and your devil's advocate. Later on, we'll be talking some let's try it again, energy policy. They both start with E. But first, you know this is a special topic for me. I've got a boy who has Down syndrome, and it's opened me up to a world I didn't know exists. One of those great organizations that helps kids like mine is the ARC, and I'm glad you're here. Heidi.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here to talk to you.
Now, I want to... Heidi Haines is with ARC Colorado, or is it called the ARC Colorado?
It's the ARC of Colorado.
The ARC.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So we're the state chapter of the ARC, and then we have 13 local chapters here in the state that are kind of spread all around.
Right. Most people are familiar with the ARC stores, these thrift stores, which they're a kick. I mean, you want to go to these stores because you can find all sorts of wild treasures there. And I've talked to the folks who run that. I don't think people quite get that there's a flip side to the ARC stores. So here we have the stores where people donate and raise money, and then that money goes, well, to you, and then you waste it all.
Exactly.
On what?
So we use the money that we get from the ARC thrift stores when we've been very fortunate. I know you mentioned the leadership. Lloyd Lewis has been there, and over the last 10 years, we've gotten over $35 million for local chapters.
Well, stop there for a second. $35 million from people buying things at ARC stores.
That's right, and that's just
incredible.
what they gave us. They do a lot of other really great things with the money, but the ARC chapters are then able to provide advocacy services for children and adults and families whose lives are touched by intellectual and developmental disabilities, and we're able to offer those services completely free of charge to families.
Slow down and talk to me about this, because my son is 11 now, and I really worry about his future. I mean, it's a scary thought. The politically correct word is he's developmentally delayed, all right? So he can't read, he can't write, he can't really speak very well. He's got all sorts of issues that are going to stop him from being an independent person. And I'm always amazed, there's so many organizations out there to try to help. What does ARC do? And again, not the side that helps raise the funding, but so somebody like my son gets involved with the ARC. What happens?
So you live in Boulder, so there's an ARC that serves Boulder, which is, they're called the Association of Community Living. And so if you got involved with them, they would be able to provide an advocate to go to IEP meetings with you and your son.
For those people who are not bureaucratically inclined, this is when your kid goes to school and you need an individualized education plan. You sit down with all the people and you write up the plans, and sometimes people need an advocate to help them wade through all this ridiculous bureaucracy.
They do, because as you probably have found out, a lot of times parents are kind of all of a sudden in this world, and they're expected to be experts, sort of, and they're not, and they shouldn't be expected to be. But an advocate can go along with the parent, kind of make sure that the school is doing what they're required, and then help the parent as the school years go on, making sure that the school's doing what they're supposed to.
The part that you bring up, that nobody expects this. I mean,
Right.
nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. So nobody expects this. It pops up and you go, sorry, we ran a test and your kid is X. And you go, oh my God. And you're so busy freaking out about this, you don't know what to do, and you're thrown into this world. And if you don't have someone to hold your hand, if you don't have the networks, if you don't have the people to help you, you're lost. And when your child comes, you're so busy taking care of that kid, you don't have time to do a lot of the extra work to make sure that your kid is going to be okay in years to come.
Exactly, and that's another reason that I'm so happy to be here talking with you, because I don't think that enough people understand that that is a resource that's available, and that it's available free of charge. So often we have people call and they'll kind of ask some questions, and then we'll talk about advocacy, and they'll say, well, how much will that cost? And when I say it's free, I mean, they're overwhelmed that would be something that would be provided.
When you help these families, is it just for kids, or is it also with adults with issues? So
it's also with adults. We oftentimes, people have case managers, so they have plans similar to IEPs kind of for their life, and advocates work with adults to kind of make sure that those are what the people really want, that they're living, working as much as possible exactly how they want to be.
The world's changed, and what scared me so much, I've said this so many times, when I was a kid, I go to school and I'd see somebody like my son. He'd come off the small bus and he'd go into some windowless room in a public school, and at the end of the day he'd come out and you didn't know his name, you didn't know who he was easy to ridicule, make fun of because he wasn't a person, and it warms my heart how it's changed. That my son has friends in school, he has sleepover parties, it's a whole different world, and these kids love him. And it's not charity, they want to hang out with my son, and I never thought about that. And that this movement, and it is a movement, to bring these people into the mainstream, really happens because people in the mainstream go, oh, wait a second, I understand that there's actually a person in there.
Right, and I think that the people are ready for it. In fact, I was just reading a statistic that said that 89% of consumers that visit a business that employs someone with a developmental disability have better feelings after shopping there than they did before knowing that. So I think that the community is ready.
What's the biggest challenge for the ARC?
The biggest challenge for the ARC is awareness of people in the community that these people want to be part of the community, and that they can be integrated fully into the community. Like you said, your son in school, we've done a wonderful job in schools creating inclusiveness, and kids kind of go there and they're part of their class, and then they're doing everything that their class is doing, but then school ends. And one of the challenges is that a lot of times there aren't opportunities for people once they get out of the school system to have a job and be in the community in the same way that they were.
And these are people overwhelmingly want to work.
They do.
They want to be part of something, and they're terrific workers, and they're joyful workers.
Yes.
I mean, it's just what I thought about the kind of work you do is I thought it would be depressing. That I thought working with these people, seeing these people, shepherding them through the system, whatever it is, that, oh my God, it would be draining. What's odd is it's quite the opposite. These people are great.
They are great.
They bring you life.
They do, and in addition to my position that I have with the ARC, I enjoy being in this work so much. I'm an advisor for the National Organization of Self-Advocates, which are adults with developmental disabilities.
And again, self-advocates, another one of those politically correct terms for people who are developmentally delayed, what we used to call retarded. And so a self-advocate is the label for that person.
Exactly.
Right.
So the name of that...
By the way, we need to have a score sheet there, translator, so that regular people, when they're talking in this world, can understand all the soft speak that sadly this community uses.
Well, that would be helpful. It definitely takes a while to catch on to it. But that's how they named their group.
Right.
So,
tell me a little bit about a film festival, and that's really what I wanted to talk to you about. I never thought of the work that ARC does and the movies. I'm sorry, that just is a complete non sequitur for me.
So there's a national group called Sprouts Flicks, and they...
Sprouts Flicks?
Yes, and they are the largest distributor of films either created by or featuring people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And they do film festivals all over the country, and they did our first one. So they came and did it, and we said, you know what, we could do that. So for the past 3 years, we've held our own festivals.
So the ARC, who helps developmentally disabled people, or delayed people, or whatever the new term is, has a film festival.
We do, yes, and it's caught on. In fact, there's going to be a film festival later in March in Colorado Springs, and then one in Weld County and one in Larimer County. And they're talking about doing one on the Western Slope. So they're actually pretty neat events.
What kind of movie am I going to see if I go to this film festival?
So this one coming up on the 11th is going to be the last 4 years, the favorite films from the last 4 years. So there's films featuring people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We're showing a film about Eunice Kennedy and the Special Olympics, which is pretty cool. At the 7 p.m. showing, we're showing the film Where Hope Grows. I don't know if you've heard anything about that film, but one of the...
This is not some Obama film, is it?
No,
Okay.
it's a film, and it's a feature-length film, and it stars, one of its stars has Down syndrome. And I was lucky enough to meet him at the ARC National Convention in Indianapolis.
So are these all documentaries, or are these actual
Some of them are
fictional or novelized films?
Some of them are documentaries, and some of them are fictionalized films. Oftentimes the ones that are made by people with intellectual and developmental disabilities are kind of fiction ones, which are kind of neat. I encourage you to come because they're great. But
Really?
David DeSantos, the film of Where Hope Grows, is going to be at our 7 p.m. showing. So I'm so excited about that.
And when and where is this?
So it's March 11th, and we have showings at 11 and 3 o'clock, which will be the favorites from the past 4 years. And then at 7 p.m., we're having Where Hope Grows with David DeSantos. And that's at the C Film Center in Denver.
Now, I've passed the C Film Center, and that's right next to the tattered cover off of Colfax, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yes, and it's completely free. The event is totally free. You can get tickets on our website, which is thearcofco.org.
Thearcofco.org. Okay.
Right.
So it sounds like a good thing.
Yeah, it's a great thing.
How long have you been doing this?
I've been working in this field and for the ARC since 2012.
Lots of money, lots of fame.
Oh, right, yes.
Big dollars.
Right, and I don't take any work home with me ever. It's wonderful.
I know the ARC and organizations like yours always needs money, so I'm sure people you'd be happy to take the money. What else is it that an organization like yours needs? I mean, beyond that, you know, on the wish list, if people are listening and they want to go, I might help. What are they like?
So I would encourage people to find out who their local ARC chapter is. Then those chapters are always looking for volunteers and always looking for donations. You could also make donations or offer to volunteer for the ARC of Colorado. We do several events throughout the year that we need volunteers for.
Like what?
So we do a thing every summer with the Professional Baseball Association trainers at Coors Field, and kids and typical kids.
You almost said normal. You almost committed a sin.
Typical children and kids with developmental disabilities get to take a tour of Coors Field and kind of go out on the field and do some things with the Rockies. It's so neat. And we're doing an event with DIA in the fall called Wings for Autism, but it's for any...
Wait. You're not letting kids like my son fly planes, are you? Because he would jump at that.
Would he?
Absolutely.
I bet he would. No, but their parents are able to have kind of a typical experience going through airport security, getting a ticket, all of that type of thing, and actually boarding the plane. In some cities, they've had some luck actually taking off and flying around, but we don't think we're going to be able to do that this year.
All right, one more time. People want to get tickets and go to the film festival. The date is?
March 11th.
And where to go?
So it's www.thearcofco.org.
Thank you so much. I appreciate talking with you. Stay tuned.